Streaming live from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is a weather alert.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Stephen Nehrenz here. Got an update for our weekend winter storm update as of midday here Thursday, January 22nd, as we're now, as of recording this, about a little more than 24 hours away or so from some pretty major winter impacts arriving. We've been hearing us talk about this winter storm all week, and it is still bearing down on green country. It still looks like it's going to bring significant winter weather impacts with some high-end potential as far as precipitation amounts and also how bitterly cold it's about to get. So kind of walking through the timeline as it looks as it stands so far. Still could be a few more changes to go now that we're within about 24 hours or so of the event. We're not expecting drastic changes to the forecast at this point, but there will still be maybe some small kind of tweaks here and there that we will be watching for. Things to remember though, again, hopefully that you're still finishing prep work today if you haven't done that already. And I know you hear us talk about this a lot before I get into kind of the timeline here, but reminders for protecting your family and your pets and your home and your cars and everything else. There's a lot to think about with the cold air in particular the next several days. Protecting your pipes, your indoor pipes, especially those outdoor pipes. Hopefully you've already got those outdoor hoses unhooked and you've covered, insulated those outdoor faucets. But we're going to be getting into some bitterly cold air where you'll be needing to drip your indoor faucets as well and opening up those cabinets to kind of keep some warmth flowing through there. Reminder about space heater safety. I know there's going to be a lot of folks probably using space heaters over the next several days. Please, please, please be very careful with those because, of course, if they have got too many things too close to them, flammable materials, that can obviously become a hazard. Kind of a 3-foot rule. Don't have anything within at least 3 foot of those space heaters. Please don't leave them unattended. Also, check your smoke alarms and your carbon monoxide alarms. Again, a lot of folks using a lot of different sources of heat over the next several days. Make sure that your carbon monoxide alarms are ready to go. Obviously, prepping your vehicle. And I know it's all obvious stuff as far as having all your warm weather gear in your car, blankets and gloves and hats and scarves and hand warmers and all that sort of stuff. Ice melt or sand or kitty litter, whatever you kind of prefer for getting traction if you're out traveling, you get stuck in the wintry weather. And also, phone chargers, flashlights, things like that, first aid kits in your car. Like I said, in case you get stranded and you need someone to come help you out. Fill up your car, fuel up today. You don't want to be, running like a quarter tank of gas when the big time winter weather settles in and then maybe you don't have a chance to get gas and that becomes an issue. You want to have a full tank of gas. Check your tire pressure. Your tire pressure is going to go way down once the cold air moves in. So air them up pretty, substantially today to kind of counteract that, right? Check your tire tread too. If you're noticing some tires, I know it's kind of last minute now on this, but if you've got some tires that you're maybe noticing don't have a lot of tread left on them, if you have a chance to maybe trade those out for fresher tires, today would be the day to do that. Obviously protecting your family, all the warm weather gear you can have. And obviously check in on your friends and neighbors that maybe don't have as good of access to reliable heat in any form or fashion. Make sure you're checking in on them for the next several days and offering them ways to stay warm if at all possible. And obviously your pets, even outdoor pets, when we have, what would you say, kind of typical cold or seasonably cold temperatures in wintertime, we have, the tips about how to keep your outdoor pets warm and dry and safe. And those tips still apply, but I'm just telling you right now, with how bitterly cold it's about to get over the next several days, if you have any possibility at all of bringing those outdoor pets inside, you really, really need to do it. It is going to be so frigidly cold that even all those kind of typical tips for keeping your outdoor pets warm, it's going to be dangerously cold once the Arctic air settles in. So here's kind of the update on our timeline. And again, quite a few of these details have held steady as far as timing. There have been changes over the last day or two in overall amounts, which usually happens, and also the types of precipitation that we're going to discuss in just a second. But early Friday morning, the Arctic air begins to arrive in northeastern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas. Will drop below freezing from Tulsa to the north and likely stay below freezing. Southeastern Oklahoma, you'll be near freezing Friday morning and then actually back above freezing a little bit Friday afternoon, which impacts the precip types. Again, with this winter storm, the brunt of it really starts Friday night and continues into Saturday. So I've been saying this a lot just for folks that, you've been hearing the chatter about this all week and hearing Friday mentioned, and maybe you're thinking, you're expecting to wake up to a bunch of snow on the ground Friday morning. That is not going to happen. You're not going to wake up to snow on the ground all over the place Friday morning. Most of us are just going to wake up dry early Friday morning. We're going to have to watch for possibly a little bit of light freezing drizzle, which we just have to monitor that potential very carefully. And then through midday into Friday afternoon, again, some freezing drizzle could occur as well. And obviously, it only takes a little bit to cause travel issues. That's what we're watching for Friday morning, and then for most of the daylight hours Friday. Outside of that, Friday is mostly just going to be the cold settling in. But by Friday night is when the first wave of much heavier precipitation spreads from the Red River, kind of southwest Oklahoma, northwest Texas, up into central and eastern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas. That goes Friday night into Saturday morning. We may catch a break Saturday afternoon or kind of a lull, and then another round Saturday night into Sunday morning. And once again, across northeast Oklahoma and southeast Kansas, snow still looks like the biggest impact, but sleet and ice threats, ice meaning freezing rain, those threats and potential continue to increase, unfortunately, for southeastern Oklahoma. And this is why. We've showed kind of models like this in the past, or little descriptors here, about what causes those different precipitation types. And what you're looking at is kind of a model of, cold air from, see if I can get my hand in here, from the surface up to cloud level, all right? And when we have pretty sufficient cold air from the ground all the way up to the cloud level, snow is going to be much more likely to form if there's sufficient moisture for it. What often happens around here in winter setups is that, somewhere around the area, there's a little layer, we call it kind of a thin layer of warmer air aloft, warmer meaning air that's above freezing, that kind of wedges itself in between the ground and the cloud level, kind of several thousand feet above our heads. When that happens, that starts complicating the precipitation types that we can see. If that warm layer is relatively thin, we can end up maybe with kind of sleet mixing in with the snow, where that snow falls from the cloud level, it briefly melts, and then starts to refreeze before reaching the ground, but maybe it becomes those sleet pellets instead of snowflakes. If that warm layer, though, is thick enough, relatively speaking, that snow falls out of the clouds, melts in that warmer air, and then doesn't have time to refreeze before it reaches the ground. But it reaches the ground, and the ground temperatures are a lot colder, and so it freezes on contact. That's that freezing rain that freezes on contact to things like elevated surfaces and trees and power lines, and becomes an issue for possible power outages. We're seeing, unfortunately, some signs that both freezing rain and sleet could become a problem for southeastern Oklahoma, especially south of I-40. So again, just walking you through this, and we continue to talk about this in a lot of detail on air through our various newscasts today and tomorrow and through the weekend, and we'll continue to have digital updates as well. But just to kind of give you a timeline, so what I'm just showing you here, this is just kind of the snow swaths to explain how this comes in waves. This is not going to happen all at once. It's kind of a longer duration of a winter storm. It's not all just one round and then gone. It's kind of 2 or 3 rounds of precipitation. But again, Friday, daytime, very light precipitation, not a whole lot happening. Friday night to Saturday morning, that's the first swath of snow that you're seeing on the map here. And in general, notice where the majority of the accumulation is with that first round, north of I-40, northeast Oklahoma and southeast Kansas. That's this first round Friday night to Saturday morning. Again, if you're in southeastern Oklahoma, say from like Lake Eufaula and Sallisaw to the south down to McAllister and Wolverton, that first round for you may be kind of more of a mixed bag of almost everything, with maybe some ice, freezing rain, and then some sleet and a little bit of snow mixing in. Then we have that next big round, I should say, of widespread precipitation Saturday night and Sunday morning, winding down by midday into Sunday afternoon. And you notice how that spreads more snow area wide. So I just point that out to say southeastern Oklahoma, you're going to kind of, at least the way it's trending, you're going to start off with more of kind of a mixed bag winter precipitation Friday night into Saturday morning. And then your snow may come kind of on the tail end of the event Saturday night and Sunday morning. Areas from Tulsa to the north, it still looks like primarily snow through the majority of this winter storm, with maybe a little bit of light icing to begin on Friday. So this is updated snowfall forecast again as of midday Thursday. There will continue to be some more tweaks to this as we get into even later this evening and tonight, and kind of the final forecast ahead of the event on Friday. Because of all the details that I just broke down for you, the timing and the precip types and everything else, we have lowered those snowfall totals for southeastern Oklahoma. Now, having said that, we still think that there will be enough snow in southeastern Oklahoma to be pretty darn noticeable and have a big travel impact, but that would happen with the potential for freezing rain and sleet and then snow on top of that in southeastern Oklahoma. So it's still going to be hazardous travel. you get closer to Tulsa, north of I-40, but especially closer to Tulsa and then to the north. That, again, still appears to be the area where it's primarily snow for the majority of this winter storm. 8 to 10, up to 12 inches of snow possible. Yes, there could be some localized areas that see more than that. So this will be, if these trends continue to hold as they have so far, this will end up being one of our biggest winter storms in quite a long time from a snowfall standpoint. Obviously, it's going to lead to hazardous travel starting Friday night, but continuing through Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday, even after the snow's gone. Travel will continue to be rough. Sleet, again, this is what we got to watch really carefully for. We could have a couple inches of sleet to pile up really quickly in southeastern Oklahoma, starting later Friday, continuing into Saturday. It's not out of the question. There could be like 2 inches of sleet. It's just going to depend on where some of those narrow, heaviest bands set up, and if snow eventually can overcome the sleet. But when we get heavy bands of sleet, they have a tendency to really pile up in a hurry. So that's what we're concerned about in southeastern Oklahoma. Now, when you talk about sleet versus freezing rain, if you had to pick between one of the two, you would probably pick sleet. It causes really bad road conditions, but the sleet doesn't stick to power lines and trees and things like that. It's better for keeping that off of the elevated surfaces. The ice portion, when I say ice totals, this would be freezing rain, that rain that freezes on contact. This is what's problematic for potential for power outages, which obviously with the bitter cold coming in, we don't want to see that. There's a possibility that we could have a quarter to half an inch of ice accumulation. Southeastern Oklahoma, particularly Pittsburgh, Latimer, and LaFleur County, to the south of there might be even more than that. That was kind of ice storm material at that point. So southeastern Oklahoma, we want you to be prepared for pretty much all precipitation types from Friday, Saturday into Sunday. Northeast Oklahoma and southeast Kansas, more snow than anything else, maybe with some sleet mixed in. The long and short of it is it's going to be impactful for travel one way or another for all of us. So again, a quick glance on that timeline. Friday morning, again, notice not a lot of precipitation on the map. Friday afternoon, still not a whole lot. Now notice the temperatures. Friday afternoon, Tulsa to the north below freezing. Southeastern Oklahoma, you nudge back above freezing for a while Friday afternoon. And then Friday night, the cold air settles back in. Here comes that first wave of bigger snow. Friday night and Saturday morning, again, could still be a mix in southeastern Oklahoma. Forecast models are kind of back and forth on whether we get a break Saturday afternoon or if the snow continues, but there's a possibility that we kind of see the snow taper off or become lighter Saturday afternoon. Now notice how cold those temperatures are. And then that biggest round, or I should say the next big round of snow, primarily snow, sweeps through Saturday night into Sunday morning. Again, look how bitterly cold those temperatures are. And then by midday Sunday into Sunday afternoon, the storm system is exiting, but those temperatures are going to just be brutal. By the way, we're not the only ones dealing with the storm system. I wanted to show you kind of the swath of snow over the next about 3 to 4 days through the weekend, even into early next week, from here in the Southern Plains through Missouri and kind of Tennessee Valley, Kentucky areas, of Ohio and the Virginias and up to the Northeast United States. It could be a whopper of a snowstorm. And unfortunately, also could be, frankly, a really, really bad ice storm, maybe a devastating ice storm for some areas to our south and east. Northern, northeastern Texas, southern Arkansas, and even central Arkansas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, into Tennessee, the Carolinas as well, could be in for some major ice concerns with this storm system as it evolves over the weekend and through the end of the weekend, all the way from Sunday into Monday across the southeastern United States. So just be prepared for not only us to have the impacts, but if you have family and friends that were traveling across kind of the middle of the country, the Great Lakes, all the way down to the southeast, travel will be significantly impacted by this. And once again, I want to reemphasize the cold air. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Just take a quick glance at the timeline there. The temperatures are kind of the top line, the wind chills are the bottom line. Both are really cold, but in particular, wind chills could be below zero for a long stretch of time this weekend into the beginning of next week. So the precipitation, I've said this a lot, precipitation pretty much always kind of gets the lion's share of the attention, or most people's attention, but boy, I got to tell you, the cold air is going to be brutal for several days. So again, that was that was a lot of talking in a not so short amount of time, but just a Thursday midday update on our winter storm that is still heading our way and still looks like a significant one for the weekend. Again, we will continue to have more updates and refine the kind of final forecast for this storm system through today and tonight, and even into Friday morning as we start to see the cold air move in. We'll kind of have that last look at it, but we'll continue to reemphasize that you need to be planning ahead, hopefully finishing your preparations now for the precipitation, for poor travel this weekend, really dangerous travel through this weekend, dangerous cold air as well. Be prepared for that. It's going to be kind of a bumpy several-day stretch around here once this winter storm really sweeps through the area. Again, we'll continue to keep you updated on air and through our digital platforms throughout this winter storm. So stick with us for the next several days and we'll keep you informed.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma's Own digital studio live stream from the Bob Mills Weather Center. Stay with News on 6 online and on television anytime for the latest weather updates to keep you safe and informed.